Welcome to the 6:15 with me, Kejang Henry Alfembe, with flag up with our top stories. President-elect Paul Biya will officially take the oath of office this Thursday, November 6, at the National Assembly. All eyes will focus at the Assembly as the President will receive gun salute. Welcome him for the 8th time. And the editor-in-chief of Amplitude FM testifies before the military court on the assassination of Raider Hus Martinez Zogo. And 1 year after the Chang landslide, Cameroonians are still haunted by the hecatomb after the earth swallowed vehicles and bodies as families watched helplessly. The 6:15 will revisit the Chang landslide 1 year after. Top stories. Welcome to join me. Our respective platforms open for consultation. We begin from Yaoundé, where President-elect Paul Biya will be take the oath of office officially tomorrow, Thursday, November 6, at the National Assembly. And of course, this will be the 8th time in his 7-year mandate. Now, this 7-year mandate is another ritual of hope and expectations. Ate Bonaventure explores the nature of the rituals that is going to take place tomorrow.
The swearing-in ceremony is a crucial step that validates the mandate of the President of the Republic in Cameroon after his confirmation by the Constitutional Council. The oath-taking is done before members of Parliament and the Constitutional Council.
The new elected President of the Republic will be promising to respect the nation, to respect the Constitution, to rule the people according to the dictates of the Constitution and of the nation, the wishes of the people in front of the representatives, where we see the President of the country taking allegiance in front of the people.
The ceremony is often presided at by the President of the National Assembly and is an occasion for the head of state to address the nation and spell out the priorities of his 7-year mandate.
The role of the assembly in such an event is that the assembly hosts the event, witnesses the oath taking, and the speaker officially declares the president invested with powers.
A symbolic highlight of the event shall be a special parade and 101 gunshot salutes, which is a military honor reserved exclusively for the head of state.
The 101 gunshot, they are military honors showing respect and loyalty of the army to the new commander-in-chief. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So this honor is not only something of happiness, but it is a kind of loyalty given by the army to the newly elected head of state.
Thursday's swearing-in thus reflects continuity with hope for peace and stability that Cameroon dearly needs for its prosperity.
Thanks very much, Ate Bonaventure. And Jean-Didier Momo, president of PADEC party, has been recognized for his integrity, leadership and civic engagement. He received his recognition yesterday from a collective of investigative journalists for his political commitment. Beatrice Ingamo reports from Yaoundé.
The 2024-2025 Political Excellence Award, meted the president of PADEC, is a distinction after several months of observations, investigations and analysis by the network of investigative journalists, thus saluting the political career, daily action which translate into exemplary manner his fundamental values.
Capability of mobilizing citizens his dynamism in politics, his words, his speeches, and the results also permitted him to win this prize.
Appreciating the men and women who, through their commitment and integrity to building a strong, just, and united Cameroon,
able to move all around Libya and do more campaign for the president. And we did our best, and the president won with 90-something%. We gave him that victory.
Collective of Investigative Journalists' vision goes beyond providing information to recognition and value to those whose actions embody Republican ideas such as probity, loyalty, a sense of duty, and defense of common goal.
The destiny of the PADEC is linked to the destiny of the President Paul Biya. We take this opportunity to pass a word. Let the people know what you are doing. Because during this electoral campaign, we noticed that the population was claiming for a lot of things that the answer is there. The response is already there. And the response, the answer, they are not known by the population.
To the PADEC party scribe, there is a lot of information gap, and this should be clarified by civil servants, explaining to the people what is going on, recent developments, programs, and realities in the country. And this is an ideal opportunity to do more of this.
Thanks very much, Patrice Nkamo. Amid rising socio-political tensions across the country and disruptions linked to post-electoral ghost towns, the senior divisional officer for the Opankam, Jam Dien Lawrence, is stepping up efforts to make sure he restores normalcy. He had a meeting with stakeholders in that part of the country, as we hear from you, Morindi.
The situation on the ground is evident. In the city of Bafang and several other localities in Onkam Division, most markets remain closed since the ghost town call on Monday. This Wednesday, many schools are still struggling to receive students and public offices are operating in a slow pace. In response, the SDO convened an emergency meeting bringing together social, administrative and educational stakeholders across Onkam. The aim was to develop urgent strategies to facilitate a swift return to normalcy.
Il y a de cela quelques jours, certains acteurs de réseaux sociaux ont lancé les villes mortes.
The education sector is particularly alarming with widespread absenteeism of students in schools across Bafang, Banka and Banja.
Déjà dans les arrondissements de Bafang et de Banka, il n'y a pas eu de reprise de cours. Malgré la présence du personnel administratif et enseignant dans les différentes structures.
Ezio Dien Jam Lawrence announced he will carry out unannounced visits to public offices to ensure continuity of state services and compliance with official working hours.
Certains services publics sont fermés et il a fallu que nous tenions cette réunion pour sensibiliser nos populations de ne pas adhérer à ce ville morte, de continuer à vaquer à leurs préoccupations.
During this high-stakes coordination meeting, key resolutions were adopted to reassure the population and restore proper functioning of institutions in Onkam, urging for collective mobilization towards calm and stability.
Thanks, Maureen. And over to the Northwest region, a 3-month campaign to promote ethical governance in municipal councils across the Northwest region has actually recorded remarkable success. As we are gathering, the Northwest Public Independent Conciliator has remarked that there have been less complaints on bad governance. Northwest Chief Correspondent Anya Collins files in with Sharifa Saleh.
Begun on August 1, the 3-month campaign for good governance in regional and local councils in the Northwest region has officially closed. Initiated by the Office of the Public Independent Conciliator, the exercise was aimed at upholding the tenets of rendering good services to the public, like to those with special needs.
We are sure, as persons with disabilities who are the electorate, to sanction any councillor, to sanction any mayor who defaults and who exploits and who is corrupt.
There are certain things that the next of kin. At least traditionally, you can be a next of kin without any death certificate. So that was not what I was expecting from the PIC.
Closing the campaign on November 4, 2025 in Bamenda, the Public Independent Conciliator in an exchange with the press revealed that the number of complaints from the public has dwindled, proof that much ground has been covered.
The population is aware of good governance, the mayors are aware of good governance, and everybody is trying to behave right. That's why we have less complaints at the level of the Office of the Public Independent Council.
Though officially closed, the PIC is still keeping an eye on council activities through community-based assistance, as that is just its regalian duty for the common man to enjoy the full rights of local services as laid down by the law.
And the editor-in-chief of Amplitude FM has testified before the military court in Yaoundé on the assassination of Martinez Zogo. The hearing actually focused on two issues: the authentication of the voice recording that was retrieved from the radio station and the government commissioner's request for the extended investigation. Details with Beatrice Ngamo.
Major moments of the November 4 hearing on the Martinez Zogo case at the military tribunal in Yaoundé are twofold. It started around two requests that sparked heated controversy. On the one hand, the government commissioner requested that the hearing be postponed in order to authenticate the recordings of the radio programs extracted during the judicial investigation. On the other hand, there was a request made the previous day by Barrister Arsira concerning the extension of the period during which the broadcast was analyzed. After long and heated debates, the court decided to defer both requests.
Je pars également de l'idée que la vérité n'est jamais bonne, elle n'est jamais une vérité complète quand elle n'est qu'une demi-vérité.
Truth is never good, never complete, if it is half-truth. If we want to know, we should search to have a maximum opportunity to get the truth or impression of the truth.
Ou de mieux circonscrire l'impression de vérité qu'on a déjà.
This was followed by the testimony of Martinez Zogo's colleague, the editor-in-chief of Amplitude FM, first questioned by the government commissioner, then cross-examined by one of the accused. Charlie Chouemo refused to name the individuals who have been publicly accused by the victim at the time. Visibly emotional, he said he was unaware of the presenter's schedule, then that Martinez Zogo was facing numerous complaints, about 100. The hearing ended late yesterday night. The case was then postponed to the 24th and 25th of November 2025 for the continuation of debates and hearing of the prosecution's witnesses. Martinez Zogo, it should be noted, was kidnapped and later assassinated last January 2023.
And 1 year after the Chang landslide, Cameroonians are still being haunted by the hecatomb after the earth swallowed vehicles and bodies, as families actually watched helplessly as their loved ones disappeared. The 6:15 News is revisiting the Chang landslide 1 year after, as the grief still lingers. Maureen D.
1 year ago, families were in tears and their pain continues. From November 5, 2024 to November 5, 2026 marks exactly 1 year since the deadly landslide that struck La Falaise de N'Chang in Cameroon along the infamous Forever Cliff Road. That day, at least 12 bodies were retrieved from the rubble, but many more remained buried on the ground to this day. The victims included travelers and 3 bulldozer operators who were clearing the debris from an earlier smaller landslide had occurred the same morning. Several vehicles were also swallowed by the earth. The major cause, torrential rains, has saturated the soil, destabilizing the steep slope and triggering the massive landslides. In the immediate aftermath, the government made strong promises to rebuild the damaged roads and restore safety in the area. But 1 year later, not much has changed. Construction work has been slow, with reports indicating that only about 10% of the work has been done. Even alternative routes and deviation sites remain poorly rehabilitated, further prolonging the suffering of the local population. On the tragic day, many families stood at the scene, praying for their loved ones' bodies would be recovered. For many, those hopes were dashed. The site, for some, has become a symbolic mass grave. And as November 5 returns, so do their painful memories. Unanswered questions continue to linger. Did victims and their families receive any psychological support? Were trauma healing mechanisms put in place? Were promises made just to calm the public? These remain million-dollar questions, and the absence of clear answers makes the pain even deeper. But perhaps the most heart-wrenching part is this: nothing significant has changed at the site despite all the promises. For the affected families, the cliff no longer just symbolizes a geographical feature, it is now a monument of grief.
Thanks very much, Morinti. And post-electoral violence or unrest has actually severely affected the prices of basic commodities across the country. The situation is further worsened by persistent lockdowns and roadblocks that have been disrupting the flow of goods and services. And so today, Hyacinth Chia actually turns the spotlight on Yaoundé's markets, and he takes a look on the prices of beef.
It is getting red in the markets within the capital city, with the prices of some basic commodities skyrocketing. Beef sold at 2,600 francs per kilogram less than 2 weeks ago has increased in a geometric rate.
Avec hausse, c'est 4,500. Sans hausse, c'est 5,000 francs. Un bœuf au marché, c'est dans les 600 000, 700 000, ça te donne 120 kilos. Soit même 103 kilos. Donc le problème est que maintenant, nous, on est bloqué.
A hard moment for food and soya vendors.
Tout a augmenté au marché, la viande a augmenté, tout ça, on s'en sort pas. Avec les faux balances qui vendent la viande. Parce que quand tu prends 1 kilo de viande, tu prends chez toi, tu repères, ça ne donne pas 1 kilo.
C'est parti à 1000 francs. C'était avant, c'est 500. Avant le pain, mais maintenant, là, c'est 1000 francs.
And at the cattle market here at Abattoir Yaoundé, the scarcity is visible. It is not saturated with the domestic animal as usual. A difficult period for the sub-regional traders, feeling the consequences of the post-electoral crisis.
The situation that we have today concerning the beef high prices in Yaoundé or in other parts of the countries is due to the political or electoral crisis that we have today in the country. That I can say that the reality that the transport is not more on their movement.
And while they manage to satisfy the demands of the Yaoundé city dwellers, who consume approximately 750 cows a day, the cattle traders decry the fact that Cameroon is still relying on neighboring countries for beef.
Yes, it's true that we have about 90 to 95% that coming from Chad and other countries, near bordering countries. The government that to try to make dialogue so that to arrange this political crisis or this electoral crisis that harm the country.
And aside the current violence, roadblocks and ghost towns, they also underline the long-lasting cases of insecurity that has been plaguing the rearers in the 3 northern regions, pushing some to completely abandon production.
And as economic pressure mounts and ghost towns persist across some of the towns in the country, food is fast becoming a luxury to many people who can actually afford a square meal. Sherifa Saleh takes a look at the basic commodities like vegetables in our local markets in Douala.
Neatly installed on market shelves, fish of all types looks attractive, but the price frightens customers, especially during this period of announced ghost towns. Housewives say fish is now a luxury to feed a family of 4 or more. With a balanced fish meal, one needs between 7,000 to 18,000 francs CFA, depending on the type.
Les prix du poisson est à partir de 22 000.
The prices for fish now start from 6,500 to 22,000 francs. I sell all kinds of fish, and prices vary: 15,000, 11,000, 6,500 francs, depending on the size. It's a clear shortage, and ghost towns have made it worse. The trend is the same for other food items. This Wednesday at Sanaga Market, Douala Central Market, and New Dedo Market, housewives were spotted touching products, checking prices, and walking away. Many blamed the announced ghost towns and blocked borders for disrupting supply and causing price surges. 3 onions or 2,000 francs is too much. Same with green spices, 2 for 1,000 francs, and yet if you don't want, they tell you to just go.
Voilà l'huile, 2000 francs.
This oil used to sell at 1,500 francs. Today is 2,000 francs. A carton of vanilla milk is now 35,000 francs, up from 25,000 francs. Fish that used to sold at 2,000 francs, now, if you don't have 4,000 francs, no one can even look at you. This woman blamed what she called artificial scarcity, noting that vegetables, fruits, rice, oil, and even cassava are now becoming unaffordable.
When it comes to the market, when they heard they say people are not going to the market or market is not open, they will increase the prices. So they make the economic crisis to be more expensive.
Traders also voiced frustration sitting under the sun all day with few buyers. Some described the situation as an economic war and called on authorities to act fast. They also questioned the silence of Consumer Rights Association, asking why the burden always falls on the common man. For many, the impact of ghost towns and economic pressure remains deeply felt across markets in Cameroon's economic hub, Douala.
And Morindi signing out for this news edition, in which we got information that President Paul Biya will be taking the oath of office for the next 7-year mandate. And of course, Chan landslide is 1 year, and the families are still aggrieved as that hecatomb lingers over. Matthew Fangwa will be coming up in a split second with the debrief, the actuality. From all of us, it's goodbye.